Welcome to A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Sunday evening. Hope you guys are doing well. We're happy to have you in for another episode of the Primetime program. We are here at Indianapolis, Indiana, of course, where the Tennessee Titans just lost to the Indianapolis Colts by a score of 38-30. And we are here to recap that very same game for you, given all the ways that this thing played or did not play itself out. It was, again, stop me if you've heard this before, it was, again, an organizational embarrassment. And 38-30 does not indicate just how awful this game was. We're going to talk about these things together. I'm going to tell you why I think that they need changes. I am definitively in the camp of changes, though the extent of those we will get into probably by season's end, or I guess I'll tell you guys how I feel about it by season's end as we work our way through the remainder of this year that's been absolutely catastrophic with 2 games left to go. Jason Martinez says, "Hey, Buck, did Callahan say a lot of good things today?" No, but he did say that he was proud of the way that the team fought to get back 38-30. Okay, he's allowed to be, and I can't take that away from him. I can't take that away from the players, and I guess they could have quit, and they could have just let Indianapolis roll over them the way that they did roll over them when they were up 38-7. But it ignores, and you'll hear a question that I asked Brian Callahan the first question tonight about, how he justifies this. And he kind of asked me, his response was so confusing to me that he was confused by the question that I was asking, or at least acted like he was confused by the question that I was asking. Christian Adosa says the coach is not getting fired, not an option, or is it? No, absolutely it's an option. Brother, they're 3-12. What are you talking about? It's not an option. This is honestly the thing that confuses me the most, and maybe this is a show for another night because we're here to talk about the game specifically, and we will do so. The idea that some of you are okay with what's going on here or want more of the same back in 2025. The amount of coping that is being done, not by a large percentage of the fan base. I think most of the fan base is probably sick of their shit just generally, or not even paying attention to them anymore. But yeah, I mean, I don't know definitively that anybody's getting fired, but they absolutely should be in danger of getting fired at 3-12 and seeing how often this team is just frankly non-competitive. You gave up the most rush yards in the second most rush yards in franchise history, the most since 1961. I don't even know how many. I don't know if any of you, I'd be shocked if any of you were alive in 1961 to see the last time that this franchise, when they were the Houston Oilers, gave up a greater rushing total than the 335 yards they allowed to basically Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor today. It was a disaster. It was an embarrassment. It was disgusting. It was sickening. And that's not the first time, obviously, that you could say that about this football team. And that is the thing that we are going to talk about here this evening. Before we get started, I need you guys to share the show around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. In the comments section, I would be grateful to you. That can be your Christmas present to me if you share this broadcast around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We're only doing primetime tonight and tomorrow this week for what it's worth, given the holiday schedule, even though I'm working all week this week because your football team still has practice and still has a game to play. God help us on next Sunday in Jacksonville. John Gonzalez says this team is a roller coaster. I thought this team quit, then they start scoring. Maybe the defense quit. Yeah, no, the Colts are a bad team. Like you can try to assign however much value you want in the way that the Titans played in the second half, and that's fine. You're welcome to do so. But they opened the second half, allowing a 70-plus yard run to be scored after they were already down 31-7 heading into the half, and then they were down 38-7, and the Colts didn't need to do anything but just kind of hang out and let them kill clock. And yeah, they're welcome to stop them too in the red zone or in the end zone or anything like this. But it's flatly, it's not professional football. It's not a profession. It is technically a professional football team, but nothing about them. thinks that they belong at the NFL level. Zachary Smith says, I don't think Callahan and Rand would be fired because Amy would have to own that she was wrong and she is Bud's daughter. Just saying. Yeah, but because she's Bud's daughter and because she has a lot of the behavioral tendencies that Bud Adams had, and I wasn't here for all of Bud's career, but I'm obviously familiar with Bud Adams. She's got some erratic behavior to her. The only thing that would stop her is she's already paying Mike Vrabel and John Robinson a shit ton of money to go away. She may not be able to afford the coach's buyout. And if you think that just because she owns a franchise that is valued at $4+ billion, that does not mean that she has $4+ billion on hand in cash to continue to pay people who make millions of dollars a year to go away after 1 year. The only reason why anybody should be able to keep their job is because she can't afford to do otherwise, which is a problem in and of itself. So we will see what she does because we have 2 more games, and I certainly would not advocate for firing anybody with 2 games left to go in the season. But share the show around. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the not from the Zen Sports Studio. We're obviously here at Lucas Oil Stadium where the Titans just lost to the Colts 38-30. I'm your host, Buck Rising. I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the wonderful people at Zen Sports. Even though your football experience may not be ideal, you can always make betting that much better when you go to zensports.com. Promo code ATOZTN gets you up to $100 on your no danger first wager. By Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more information. They'll get you right. By TrueMav Fitness in the Gulch. TrueMavFitness.com is where you go for your first workout free. As a Middle Tennessee resident, no workout ever recycled or repeated, just the best in the business at TrueMav Fitness. Almighty Half-Breed says, Buck, just say what we all should know. He means we're, a cursed franchise since the 1960s. We shut down the team a year before. No, I don't know anything about curses or any of that nonsense. I don't believe in that stuff. I think this is a bad organization. I think top to bottom right now, this is a bad organization. Doesn't mean that it'll be bad forever. Doesn't mean that it was awful before then, though it's experienced some significant difficulties. I think the Titans are a bad football team, a bad football franchise in the year 2024. That's it. Full stop. No curses, nothing about 1960. The only thing that this has to do with 1960 is you allowed the most rushing yards in a game since the Titans moved to Tennessee and the most for the franchise since 1960-1. So, yeah, that I'll take back to the 60s. But other than that, no, I don't believe you to be cursed. I believe you to be bad. And those two are different things. A curse allows you to kind of let them off the hook. Having them be so incapable of doing their jobs collectively across the board is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. And that's coming from somebody who does not have financial investment in this team the way that so many of you do. Paul Kaharski was walking around the locker room today asking players if they were a fan, if they would pay to come see this football team. And, a lot of the guys obviously didn't appreciate the question. A lot of the guys said, yeah, but I'm a football fan, and if you're not with us now, then you shouldn't be with us ever. And you'll hear from Peter Skoronski on that very fact here in just a second. But it's garbage. It's truly garbage. And everybody, ownership, front office, coaching staff, players, everybody is responsible for just how badly this thing stinks. So with that in particular, I guess we'll start with the obvious. What was the most disappointing part to you of the Titans' 38-30 loss here to the Indianapolis Colts? In the comment section, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where you go to make yourselves known there. The 335 rushing yards is what they gave up on the ground today. Perhaps you would like to start there. Perhaps you would like to start with any of the other number of ways. The fact that they couldn't stop the run as a Titans defense, a defense that, I understand the mentality of, well, we're not, nobody's going to run on us or saying that and trying to manifest that. But obviously people run on them. They're a bad run defense at this point in time. Washington put 267 on them. The Colts, who are a bad football team, put 335 on them, and that's just on the ground. Anthony Richardson threw 11 passes today and won, not by double digits. It's a one-score game, but still. It was basically a double-digit game the entirety of the way through until the garbage time touchdown. I think inside of the 2-minute warning is when Tajay scored his second. So with everything that disappointed you today, and there's probably a variety of things, what disappointed you the most at your Two Rivers Ford take? As always, it's presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealership. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com, where they make the car buying process fast, easy, and fun. And unlike your football team, both of your football teams, god damn, the Vols too. Vols just getting blown out of the water. All I heard this week, and I went to a Big Ten school or whatever, and Indiana lost to Notre Dame too, and I'm happy because Notre Dame won, and that's my college football team, even though I went to Indiana and I like that basketball team. All I heard this week was how much SEC teams were better than Big Ten teams, and Indiana played the most competitive, or was the most competitive, losing team in the college football playoff yesterday. I can't believe the Vols lost 42-17. Another embarrassment that we're going to spend 3 hours of radio on tomorrow. God help us. But this one's about the Titans. You can trust Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. All right, so with everything that happened today, it could be the defense, it could be the quarterback play. Mason Rudolph was not good. It can be the coaching. It can be the fact that the Titans are 3-12 anyway after Amy Adams Strunk called 6-11 completely unacceptable. Those were her words in an interview with Mike Keith, and now I can't imagine what she's thinking, because I know she has a temper, and she has to be hot thinking about all the things that she was responsible for, the changes that she made en route to this thing being a nightmare. There's a number of different things that were disappointing today, but and I'll get to Jeff Simmons and I'll get to Peter Skoronski, but the thing that disappointed me truly, the thing that disappointed me the most today was Brian Callahan. I don't know. I think he's a good football coach. I don't know that. I mean, the evidence is very much there to the contrary, that he's a good head coach. I don't know if he's going to be bad at that job, the job of head coach, forever. I don't know if he's going to get much more opportunity beyond these next two games to prove otherwise, and perhaps he'll end up somewhere else if it doesn't work out here. Perhaps he'll succeed. Perhaps he'll learn from how bad it was here and apply that to whatever comes next for Brian Callahan. But I could not wrap my head around the answer to the question that I got today. It was the first question that was asked in the press conference, and this was Brian Callahan at the podium.
Otis ankle, didn't return to the game. We'll see where he's at. Kenneth Murray hit a wrist, did not return. Not probably encouraging for him. Radens had a shoulder, did not return. Hooker had a shoulder, did not return. Pollard's ankle is the same. He did not return, but he's the same as he was before. So nothing different. Obviously disappointed the way that first half got away from us early. Did not play well on either line of scrimmage. Didn't stop the run at all. Didn't run the ball well. That's a recipe to lose against a team that's built to do both. And we didn't do a good enough job. Guys fought. We didn't stop. They kept swinging at it. We had a chance to get the ball back with an 8-point gain in the fourth quarter. And I appreciate the effort and the fight. Ultimately, wasn't enough, but too many things that we didn't do well enough in that game all the way around, myself included. So I'll let you guys go ahead.
Understanding that the fight matters and trying to get back into the game. I mean, the way that it kind of spirals in the first half, how do you kind of justify that?
As far as what?
As far as the final outcome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed all the way around in how the final outcome. I just wish we had played better early in that game. We were in a good spot. We go down and miss the field goal, but a chance to go up. And then we offensively have a critical spot where we get about a 60-yard gain to Calvin, and we get a hands to the face, and that one gets called back, and that's kind of where the momentum shifted. We turn the ball over, and then once turn the ball over late in the half, which made it even harder when we throw that pick in the 2-minute drill. So yeah, it's just the whole thing is disappointing because I thought we were going to play better than we did early, and the run game they had a couple really big explosive ones get away from us, and made it challenging to have to come back into the game. So I wish we didn't have to come back and we didn't have to show that kind of effort. I wish we could have won the game.
That's the worst run defense that the franchise has played since it came to Tennessee. What's happening there that you're getting gashed?
Yeah, it looks that's again super disappointing performance. Really not at all what I think that we've shown over the course of the year, but didn't get off blocks, didn't win the line of scrimmage, and then didn't tackle in space. We had. And then the speed of Jonathan Taylor showed up, and we couldn't get him on the ground. And he had two extremely large runs, and the quarterback had the other. And sometimes that's all you need to have a day like that is two 70-yard runs, puts you in a pretty rare category to begin with. So not good enough. Got to be able to get the ball carrier on the ground. Got to be able to fit gaps better than we did. So disappointing performance.
That's Brian Callahan speaking earlier today. I guess that would have been about an hour and a half ago at the post-game press conference, trying to explain what the hell is going on here? And like the fact that he had to ask me in terms of what, basically what I said to him is, and he acknowledged, like, I don't have I'm not going to kill him for acknowledging the fact that there was effort in the second half, that they didn't quit, and they did make it a 1-score game to their credit, even if it was garbage time, basically. From the start of the third quarter on, that game was not relevant. They were not in it. And then, the Colts sagged off and let them back in the game and ended up winning anyway. So it doesn't matter how much fight they showed or how much effort they showed in the second half, because they cratered in the first and the start of the third, and it was a nightmare the entire way through. They were never in the game outside of that first touchdown. Listen to what the possession chart reads. I'll do that for you here in just a second. Quickly, I'll remind you that Primetime is made possible by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, GaryAshton.com. They will put you in position to succeed. The official real estate agent of the Nashville Preds is Gary Ashton and the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. The Titans, after they scored the touchdown on their second possession of the game, so it goes punt, touchdown, missed field goal, the second missed field goal of the year, because obviously Nick Folk didn't play in this game, so Braden Narveson missed his only attempt from 55. Missed field goal, punt, interception, kneel down, punt, interception. Then they score 3 straight touchdown drives when the game is basically out of hand in the third quarter. And then the game ends on an interception, which is very, very fitting when they get the ball back with 3 seconds left after the Colts, take their time, make the Titans use all their timeouts, take a delay of game penalty to punt it back to them with only 3 seconds left on the clock. So the Titans only have 1 play left at their own 25, I think is where they got the ball back. Let me double check that for you. Where they got the ball was on their own 11, not even their own 25. They got 1 play with 3 seconds left from their own 11. And of course they throw an interception, because how else would this game end? I mean, the fact that so I asked Brian Callahan about how do you justify it, essentially, is my question. And he said, in terms of what? And I said, in terms of the score. In terms of score, how do you justify this? In terms of the season, in terms of all of this, how do you justify this? And he went back to say that he wasn't justifying anything, that he's disappointed and all these other things, and that's fine, but fix it. Your job is to fix it. He can't do this job. And let me not make it just about them, because there's a million other people on this coaching staff too, and a million other people in this front office, and a million other people involved with this organization that can't fix it. But he's the person who was supposed to make it infinitely better, and it is indisputably worse. It's the first time today. So I got a question. I got a tweet during the game from Jamie. It's either Jamie or Jaime Singleton on Twitter. J Sing CPA. He tweeted me, would this season have gone better with Vrabel? And it's the first time all season long that I've been willing to say definitively yes. The answer is definitively yes. They're bad, and I'll read you directly what I tweeted. They were bad under Vrabel, and it felt bad under Vrabel. 7 straight losses in 2022. They were 6-11 last year, but never were they a national embarrassment. Never were they a joke. They are now a joke, a complete and total joke, a farce of a football team, more a farce than a football team. And you'll hear some of the locker room stuff, and I'm sure you'll read some of the quotes that came out of that locker room, whether it's from me or other people that were in that locker room. There's definitely finger pointing going on, and they're not calling people out by name, but that's the one thing that football players are never supposed to do, and they've started doing it. And it started a couple of weeks ago, honestly, after they lost to the Jags. But I responded, they were bad, but they were never a national embarrassment. Now you're the least competitive team in professional football, and I include the Raiders and the Giants in that. The Panthers won a game today, which is good for you because of draft position. But, honestly, the only team that I can make a case for being worse than the Tennessee Titans in 2024 is the New York Giants. The New York Giants are truly terrible. They are never in any of these games. The Titans have been competitive in spurts. But, I mean, it's a conversation. It's a conversation between who is worse between them and the Giants. They're a joke entirely. As a franchise, this is an organizational failure. And I've said that phrase entirely too much. And again, if you're somebody who's Patricia says, well, Vrabel was an experienced coach. So please, it's not got anything to do really with Vrabel. Okay. The question was about Vrabel. Yes. And I answered in kind. Vrabel would have had this team more competitive. Vrabel would not be feeling questions about toughness. Vrabel would not be getting blown out at every possible opportunity the way that this team does. The only reason why Vrabel matters at all is because he's the person who had this job previously. It's not about Vrabel. And if you want to make it about Vrabel, you're missing the point. You're just arguing for the sake of argument. It's about, did they get better with the moves that they make? They are indisputably worse. They are unquestionably worse. And if you're somebody who is either caping up for 3-12 football right now because whatever, I couldn't possibly understand your reasons for it, or you're just digging your heels in because no, they should have fired Vrabel anyway. Okay, that's fine. I don't disagree. I think they should have made changes last year. I don't know if Vrabel was the change that they should have made, but they should have made changes because the thing had gotten stagnant. Did you get better? Your owner called it unacceptable. 6-11. You're 3-12. You're 3-12, and you could very well get swept by Mac Jones. You got swept by Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco. When's the last time the Titans beat the Colts? And that includes last year, by the way. Vrabel was a part of that too. Vrabel doesn't get excused in all of this, but the question is, would they be better if that person was still coaching? The answer is indisputably yes, even if I don't have the sample size, obviously, other than a hypothetical. The answer is, did you get better? You weren't better. You aren't better. You're a disaster. That should not be glossed over. Should not be glossed over in any way, shape, or form. You're welcome to cape up for it. If you want to behave like a loser, you can do that. If you want to be a loser with your 3-12 football team, you can do that. But I would simply ask you, please have better standards. Have better standards for yourself and for the organization that you invest time, money, and effort and care into. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. And I don't know how some of you are trying to justify it, because there are some of you out there, and those people just make zero sense to me at all. All right. So with everything that's going on right now, the second question that we will ask you guys is this on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch is, let me find the second question. What's the second question? Oh, how hot is Brian Callahan's seat on a scale of 1 to 10? Let me know, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, and I will get into it with you together. You'll hear from Peter Skoronski and Jeffrey Simmons here in just a second. I've talked to Mason Rudolph, too. I talked to Calvin Ridley. Who else did I talk to today? Tavondre Sweat. God love him. His eye is bad. His eye is in a bad way. I think Jonathan Taylor really messed it up, and he still wasn't able to open it all the way when we were just down there in the locker room with them. Who else did I talk to? Of a variety of different players. Anyway, the most important ones that you're going to hear, the most important points that you're going to hear made by players are Jeff Simmons and Peter Skoronski. We'll do that here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by Zen Sports. Promo code ATOZTN gets you in on all the action. ZenSports.com is where you go to compete and to bet. Where betting just gets better is Zen Sports. Promo code ATOZTN. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem, I already gave out the red line number. Must be 21 plus and in the state of Tennessee to bet at Zen Sports. Greg Murphy says that they are dysfunctional. Sorry if I'm not reading enough of your comments, but I will get to a few of them here as we continue to talk about this situation. The question for you is, how hot is Brian Callahan's seat at this point in time? I don't know if I even answered my own question on the first part. No, I did. Brian Callahan was the most disappointing part to me. Let's see. Mason threw picks that hurt. But why is the offense getting blamed? Because the defense couldn't tackle. How many yards did Taylor have again? Taylor himself, and I will give you exactly how many he had. He had 218, 3 touchdowns. He averaged 7.5 yards per carry. Anthony Richardson had 9 for 70 and a touchdown. Trey Sermon had 8 for 25. Somebody named T. Goodson had 4 for 22. In total, 335 yards rushing. The Titans just outright got beat. Jason Martinez says, Buck, seriously, how can you come close to blaming Callahan for the roster he was given? The roster he was given was $228 million. They revamped the roster. They spent a ton of money. They fortified around the quarterback. If you want to play, that is such a, I almost said a bad word. I guess it's not really a bad word, but it would be in poor taste if I said the phrase that I was thinking about saying. It's a, I don't have an FCC safe way that I could criticize that comment. So I'm going to say, seriously, how can you come close to blaming Callahan for the roster he was given? The roster spent $228 million. The general manager drafted a quarterback. The general manager put together this offensive line. This is a pretty significantly higher talent profile than the teams of the last 2 seasons that were scrounging around and still hitting 7 in 6 games with dudes off the street. If you, again, want to cope or cape up for 3-12 football, you can do that. Just tell me you're a loser on the front end. Or tell me, not that you personally are a loser. Maybe that's a little too harsh. Maybe tell me that you have the mentality of a loser and that you're okay with this shit. Because it's on all of them. It's on the players. It's on the coaching staff. It's on the owner. It's on the front office. And it's on you, Jason Martinez, and anybody who thinks that way, if you are willing to accept this, have higher standards. Get over yourself. If you think that this should not be something that is capable of being more or closer to a professional football organization. Right now, it's a laughingstock. And if you continue to lower the bar for them, then why should they bother to exceed it? If people like you out there exist with that kind of mentality, it is a loser mentality. It is pathetic, to be completely honest with you, that anybody would be comfortable making an argument for them right now or for anybody right now when the product is 3-12 and gets its ass kicked on a regular basis. It's not competitive, even though it lost by only 1 score today. It was very much not a 1-score game the entirety of the way through. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how hot is Brian Callahan's seat? Well, it's certainly hotter than it's ever been. And if they continue to lose, it will continue to get hotter. And I don't think that's just on them. And I'll tell you what I think they should do at the end of the season. I'll wait till the end of the season before I start making definitive statements about what I think that they should do beyond just it not being acceptable. The reason why I'm going to say a 6.5, which is hotter than a first-year coach should have any business being. Especially one who is, fighting uphill. A 6.5 is pretty damn hot for somebody who basically just got here. But they don't have any answers, and it continues to get worse. And now we are to the point where it's not calling people out by name in the locker room. But listen to this Jeffrey Simmons quote and tell me if this is not indicative of some kind of finger pointing going on in the building.
I watched the tape, but shit, we was movement and they were running a lot of gap scheme. It was like deja vu all over again, just like when we played Washington. I mean, it was the same shit. I mean, when we turn on that tape, it's gonna be guys misfit, I'm sure. Not one time we had to watch the tape, but I don't think they ran really duo or nothing like that. When they did do it, it was like 3rd-and-1 quarterback sneak or something like that. But at the end of the day, when you talk about stopping the run, it's not just on the defensive line. When they run a gap scheme, everyone on defense got to be where it's supposed to be, and we got to fit correctly, and that's what it is. I mean, it's not like they had many exotic runs. When we look at how many rushing yards they had, first thing we're gonna say the defensive line, but like I said, when gap changes, guys in a different gap. Now, back in, the linebacker got to be where they're supposed to be. DB's got to be where they're supposed to be. It take all 11 to stop the run. So, I think at the end of the day, I think we misfit a lot of their runs. It wasn't like they just knocking us off the ball. There was a lot of freaking gap scheme, and quite frankly, they had 3 big explosive runs. That's why it looked like he did. I think Jonathan Taylor at one point had like 7 rush for like 112, and that 2 big explosive run he had. So at the end of the day, we got to know what the team is doing. We got to adjust. We got to know where to be at and have to be there, especially in a situation like that where we knew they were finna run the ball. We knew their quarterback was gonna run the ball. We got to be able to be where we're supposed to be.
Do y'all have problems sometimes?
Now, there are other clips that are more inflammatory, but that's Jeff Simmons. And honestly, Jeff kind of puts himself in a bad spot when he says they're not running duo. That means they're not getting double teamed. That means that they're just outright getting moved out of the way. He said it's basically Washington all over again, and we know what a poor performance Washington was. He goes on to talk about the rookie linebackers that they had to start today because Kenneth Murray left the game with he had what's it called? He had a wrap on his wrist, but he had an X-ray, which to me, and I don't know this yet, and I'll await more information or send some text to see if I can't get you guys some more information by the time we do the radio show tomorrow. But like that he's talking about the rookie linebackers. Essentially, he's talking about it's not just on the defensive line, and we weren't asking him to answer for just the defensive line. We're asking him to answer for the defense, and Jeff is saying it takes all 11, basically obfuscating, I think that's the proper pronunciation of that word, shifting blame away from the defensive line and saying, yeah, it's on all of us. So he's not saying people by name, and he's not saying coaches by name. But the fact that they were properly prepared, that they knew exactly what the Colts were going to do, and that they gave up the most rushing yards since 1961 that this franchise has ever allowed, that's bad vibes. That's real bad vibes. And Jeff knows that. I mean, Jeff, he's got to be, God love him. I mean, his head has to be swimming in this entire situation. We asked him if what he's thinking right now, and he just basically said, yeah, I didn't expect this. Like they have no answers. They have no answers. And honestly, an easy thing for the players to say to us is, well, they're not going to watch the tape. They're just going to blame the defensive lineman or whatever. And that was something that was said to, not me, but to one of my media colleagues, Nick Suss of the Tennessean, in the locker room, because he asked Devondre Sweat about it, and Devondre Sweat got legitimately offended. And, Jeff said off to the side, well, they're not going to watch the tape. Okay, when you watch the tape, you're probably going to feel worse about it. Certainly worse than you do right now, or certainly not as justified in being like, well, it's not as bad as it seems. It's 335 rushing yards in a game. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Duck Falling says, Buck, why do you cover this team? You hate your job, so why do you do this? You can be a talking head on ESPN. You just like the access. Well, I do love Nashville, and I love the money. I'm a big fan of the money. They pay me really, really well around here, so you guys are stuck with me for the foreseeable future. I like my house. I bought a house 5 years, almost 6 years ago, and I'm always going to have a house. Guess what? I'm a Tennessean. I've been a Tennessean for a decade. Tennessee driver's license, Tennessee license plate. So you guys are stuck with me for the foreseeable future. And it's not that I don't hate the team, and I don't hate the people or anything like that. What I hate is bad football, and what I hate is caping up for bad football. I cannot stomach the way that people are simping for a 3-12 football team. Some people, not all of you. Most of you are rational and reasonable about this. But yeah, no, the answer is the money. And I do love my job. I really do. But I hate bad football. I hate it. I hate it worse than anything in the world. And this is indisputably bad football. Because it's, to me, and maybe this makes sense, maybe it doesn't, but it's a waste of everybody's time. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of their time, what they've been able to produce or not produce this season. And, we're just talking about now how the hell they dig themselves out of that, and the answer is just not that clear. Freddie Williams says Buck just likes seeing himself on video. Yeah, but I could do that anywhere. No, I really do love Nashville. I like doing what I do. I hate bad football. I hate it. And they have done nothing really this year but produce bad football. And that's probably why the tone has gotten as bad as it is. And to be completely fair, this is the first real bad season that I've covered. So it's a new experience for me, even though I got here the first year that I got here and started working here, they were 3-13. That was Marcus's rookie year, and they fired Wiz halfway through, but I wasn't full-time traveling and all the stuff that goes on throughout the course of a regular season. This is the most exposure I've had to a legitimately terrible football team. So I'm dealing with it in the same way that a lot of you guys are dealing with it. I'm dealing with it sometimes more emotionally than I should, and that I will acknowledge. And sometimes I have to check my tone because I know that it's not like your guys' fault, and I don't want you to feel like I'm talking about you or about your team or like holding you responsible for it. No, but I hold your organization responsible for it, and that I really can't ever. I'm not ever going to apologize for it, even though sometimes I do acknowledge that my tone has been bad this year, but they have also been bad. So they are welcome to do better, and I will do better as a result. All right. I would give you a little Sunday fun day, but I don't really have much other. Your draft pick got better. Panthers won today. Your draft pick got better. Congratulations to everybody involved, except for the people who are coaching and working for their jobs, all these other things. Earl says you're good at what you do, Buck. You're the only A to Z guy even listen. Well, I hope that's not true. There's a lot of different interesting opinions and insight on there, not just on A to Z, but I also do radio for 104.5. So he says, sorry you have to watch this garbage, but at least the money's good. Yeah, love the money. Big fan of the money. Why does anybody do anything? It's money, baby. That's what it is. I'm cashing a paycheck, whether they win or lose. That's just what it is. But I would also like to make my money and watch good football. They have deprived me of that certainly this year. But I would invite you to consider a couple of different opinions that they have on the A to Z network. Just because it's not mine, or just because it's different from mine, or I'm different from Austin, or Easton's different from Sam, or whatever the case may be, there are different opinions there, and I do think that there are different perspectives that are worth paying attention to. Just as you guys have different perspectives and opinions on what the hell is happening here. So I am going to wrap things up because I've got to get on the road and get back to Nashville tonight before radio tomorrow. Have a great rest of your evening. We'll talk a lot about the Vols tomorrow. We'll work our way through that because that's a mess. I imagine Vanderbilt having the longest season of any of these three football teams in the state of Tennessee. Shout out Memphis, though. They won their ball game. I shouldn't ignore them, even though we don't really talk about Memphis. Anyway, quick reminder that the Primetime program made possible by the great people at True Math Fitness and the Colts. Go to truemathfitness.com. Get your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. Just the best workout anywhere in Middle Tennessee at truemathfitness.com. Seriously, I do appreciate the fact that there's even 208 of you watching this live at 3 and 12. I know that I can come across poorly in a lot of ways, but I feel like I'm gonna have to say this a lot more because I am so grateful for the fact that there are even that many of you live streaming this show at 3 and 12, or as many of you continue to listen to the radio show. The fact that we're up 100% digitally year over year is crazy to me, given how bad the football has been and how much, how bad my tone has been as a result. Maybe that's Lucas. Maybe we have Lucas and Bert to thank for that because they've carried the radio show for a good deal of time. Don't tell them I said that, obviously. But I am grateful for you guys. And, we'll continue to be here. We'll continue to talk about it. Just because they're bad doesn't mean that, that we're punting on the season, even though I will tell you, this is the first time, and this is a common theme around everybody internally, too. There are plenty of people with your football team that have told me this off the record, that they are actively wishing away games and they would like for this season to be over. And I could not agree with a sentiment more. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on 104.5 The Zone, we're talking Vols, we're talking Titans. I'll see you there.
Go home! Go home! Go home! You're embarrassing Nashville! Go home!